Yeah, so I think this is dramatic. These changes that we have with wearable devices, subcutaneous monitors, I think they've transformed monitoring for atrial fibrillation. So what we have learned is that putting a monitor on somebody for 24 hours, which was the standard of care for so long, is just not adequate. You need prolonged monitoring. And if patients can do it by managing their watch on a daily basis and getting that information, or get a subcutaneous monitor that allows us to remotely monitor them for years without them doing anything, that is transformative and has helped us in terms of management and making a diagnosis. So we encourage that to everybody who's willing to do it. I think the advent of artificial intelligence now into some of these devices to really look more deeply into making diagnosis and making people aware with greater accuracy. You know, much of the problems that we have in our clinic, we manage thousands of patients remotely with pacemakers, defibrillators, subcutaneous monitors. The data comes in and sometimes it's hard to figure out. You know, it's not always so clear what we are seeing, and we need really improvements in that. So I think the future, as it relates to machine learning and deep learning of some of these algorithms, will give us tremendous information, really tremendous. Well, I think we have the capabilities to be in a good spot, but for instance, we've had lots of issues within our medical center of making sure we define a standard of care for remote monitoring and that we do our due diligence to make sure patients are monitored, that alerts are answered. But you know, we follow 7,000 or 8,000 patients, and you know, we have 6 people who work full-time just doing that, remote monitoring and device monitoring. So it's an effort, and it requires technology, and it requires people, and it requires resources. So the balance of all this monitoring is that you better have the capabilities of doing the monitoring, because you put a monitor on somebody and they have an event and you're not around to see that event and you're relying upon and getting that information, then that's a problem. So I think the technology is great, but I think managing the data is going to be increasingly an issue.